4.1.2, it's the minutes of the county meeting that we have here. There's one part in there about the county wanting to download planners. It cost them 1.7 million in their budget for planning. And they figure there's about 1 million or 900,000 if they download it. So there's, what is there, eight planners at 100 plus. And they could save 800,000, they figure. So in other words, does that mean that we have another 100 plus person in our budget?
I believe that question was asked for, he brought a motion forward and he's waiting for a report to come back.
Is that how it ended? Oh, okay.
Councillor Klopp. So it hasn't come back yet. We'll just have to be patient on that, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Okay, we have moves. Go ahead, Councillor Whitfield.
Yeah, I'd like to have 4.3.2 pulled and a letter of support for that landlord tenant
Okay,
one there.
4.3.2. Councillor Whitfield would like a letter sent for that. Anybody else? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So, provided the mover and seconder are fine with the friendly amendment, your first motion would now be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent item 4.1.1, and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 4.1.2 to 4.3.1 for information purposes. So Councilor Wright was the mover and Councilor Van Henderson was the seconder.
Okay. Mover seconder, all in favor? Carried.
So then your second motion would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to send a letter of support for agenda item 4.3.2. And you have Councilor Whitfield as your mover and you need a seconder.
Seconder is Councillor Wright. All in favor? Carried. Public meetings, hearings and delegations. 5.1 Finance 2025-08 Township of North Huron 2025 Final Budget. Public meeting. At this time, I'll ask Director Fletcher to present. Want to put your mic on, please?
Sorry, can you hear me now? So within this budget, we were directed to make a couple of changes during the initial budget presentation. To do that, under the tax-supported budget, we removed the Alice Munro Festival funding of $3,000. That reduced the overall levy from 3.15 down to 3.11. And then on the user pay budget, we were asked to review the amounts going in for the Veolia contract. Those have been adjusted. And the variance has been moved into the transfer to reserve accounts for those. These are a couple recaps from the initial budget meeting that we had, going over the donation list that was approved on the draft meeting. And there's also a note there for the additional budget allocation of $5,000 for the Blythe Festival. This one here is just a summary again. The council had approved the following capital projects as presented. This is the same list that we saw the first time. There was no changes to this one. And as well on here, we have the proposed P2 and P3 priority projects that we are keeping on the radar that will be targeted for being completed in another budget year or potentially fundraised from the community. So overall, to summarize the 2025 final taxation budget, we are looking at $233,000 approximately more of expenses over 2024, which is giving us our 3.11%. And that is the amount per department that the total levy that we're looking to raise is being raised by department. So this last slide is just a slide to show, as an example, if we had a $100,000 assessment for each of these property classes for 24 over 25, what is the impact for that category of a $100,000 increase in assessment? So we can see that the change per ward is listed there, and we have the residential. We only picked 4 of them, but residential, farm, and then we have the multi-res, industrial, and commercial coming in under similar rates. Now, those assessment values are only for demonstrative purposes, kept it even at 100,000, so you could see the relative impact by property grouping. That is the summary from the 25 final.
Thank you very much for that. And Anita, are there any questions for Annette at this time? Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Reeve. Got some comments and questions. I only I'll start with a few and then I'll let other people jump in. Then I have some others, Reeve, if that's okay. The first one's more of a comment. I felt rushed with our process. I understand why it happened. And like one meeting, okay, first of all, I'll start. Staff did an excellent job of bringing things together for us to see last month. And for our one meeting. Other than that, we didn't see anything, but they did an excellent job. So, I have questions yet. Like things came up and just talking to Annette about it doesn't solve the issue because there won't be changes unless council, wrong, stupid glasses. Council needs to change it. So that's where I'm sitting. So I think we should have had a sort of a quick cleanup meeting. I think I would have felt a lot better about that. Would have been simple, short, and just, is there anything else that needs council's attention? Because tonight, like of all the budgets, final budgets that I've been part of, there weren't any changes, the final one. You know, public gets a bit of say. There really aren't changes. It's too late because staff want it done now. And I understand why. So just for the future, I really wish that we would do that. So that was the one comment. And then in the final budget, the 24s actuals aren't there. And I'm just wondering why. You know, the public would like to see it. There's no secrets about the 24 actuals that I'm aware of.
No, through you, Reeve. The 24 actuals have yet to be finalized, and they won't be finalized until they have gone through the audit process. So until that point in time, they are very preliminary and there are adjustments to make. So for pushing it out, and it was also replicating past practice where the actuals at that point in time hadn't been put in. But we can be prepared to share those actuals as soon as we have the 24 books closed. And once they're audited, then we can publish those as well.
Fair enough. I'll hold off.
Thank you for, I know things were duly noted up here. Also, at this time, I just want to take the opportunity for the public. Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none? Okay, yeah, go ahead, Councillor Palmer. I missed doing that at the start.
Thank you, Reeve. As of same as the last meeting we had, I still feel that something more should have been done with ActDev. It's, as far as I can tell, or as far as I know, there wasn't much adjustment, changes where all the other departments really worked hard at that. I'm seeing ActDev as it's supposed to be. It's supposed to collect taxes, property assessments. That's what its function was. That's why we entered into the ActDev in the first place. And now I just look at it and I see, well, its sole purpose seems to be managing projects. You know, there's good ones and I question some others, but doesn't matter. That's what they seem to be doing. And that doesn't bring in money. That doesn't bring in taxes. And that's what our citizens need. And so that's my biggest beef about it. I really, it's good to hear other comments. Is anyone else bothered by it? Because it's a lot of money. It's actually $414,000 when you take the 65K of reserves that I don't feel should be in there. It should be used elsewhere or saved. But that just falsifies the situation with having that in there. But that's what I'm seeing, 414,000. And it would be great to have at least half of that go into asset management and work and do some really good things. Anyways, I had a whole lot more written, but I'm just going to leave it at that. But I just see it as a dreadful situation. I'm not happy with it.
Okay, Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you, through you. I'm just curious, does the councillor have a motion to put forward to council for consideration?
I would really like to hear other people's opinions like that. That's what we're here for, is discussion. Then I'd be happy to put a motion forward, but I'd like to hear what other folks are thinking.
I'm quite thrilled with the 3.11. That's monumentous in the times and the struggles that the municipality's gone through with the current state of affairs in Ontario and the dealing with what we receive from the higher levels of government down to facilitate us being able to carry on our daily business as a municipality. And most of that falls onto the struggle of the taxpayer involved. So the 3.11 I'm quite happy with. And for the record, I have no qualms. I think the economic development is doing a fantastic job. And it was brought forward previous meetings that some of the numbers that are in the ECDEV budget really have nothing to do with the ECDEV total at the end. It was just that would happen to be the place that those numbers were tallied as far as the budget goes. So no, I'm quite happy with the state of what things are right now. Thank you.
Good. Anybody? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, just I guess some general clarifications to make at this point, because I think it'll come in handy later. So transportation services, that's 31.7% of the budget. And I did take a quick look this afternoon, but that's your just basics. That's road maintenance, culvert maintenance, bridge repairs, gravel, calcium, all that stuff, correct? That's just kind of the basics for road maintenance.
That would be correct, as well as winter operations and your
Right.
day-to-day operations that are performed by Public Works.
Okay. And then my next question about the 2025 tax levy impact. So the assessment split between residential, farm, multi-residential, industrial, and commercial. This is all governed by MPAC, is it? I don't think this is anything that North Huron has any discretion over. Is that correct? Yeah, the assessment for the amount we are assessed for the different property types. Okay. And so again, just for, because it'll be later, just to point out that the farm rate is approximately 25% what residential rate is. So because the numbers were in front of us, I just thought I'd mention those now for clarification for later. Thank you, Reeve.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Van Hitterson, please.
Yes, the farmland is 25% because farmland doesn't use any of the services, but all the farms are also taxed residential in our assessment, so there is not much difference there.
Any other comments from, go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
It's just something for next time. This is 2 years now that East Wallinash we haven't done any tar and chipping. And it's a nice little policy we had started. And it'd be nice, there'll be years obviously that it can't be done because of finances. But if we can keep that in our minds for near future, that, you know, we just do the gravel part the first year, the next year we tar chip it. It's, you know, it's staged and it's a good way of doing it. And we can just move forward on Moncrief Road there. Okay, thank you.
Yep, that's been duly noted. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other member with? Okay, I haven't got a mover or seconder. I have a mover for this. Deputy Reeve, seconder. Councillor Wright. All in favor? Carried. Good. Good discussion there. Thank you very much, members. This time we'll go to 6.4.1, Public Works 2025-09 Water and Wastewater Operations Report for February 2025 and the 2024 annual reports. There's a lot of good reports in there, and I asked our Director Wilson if he just want to elaborate a little bit on what's been going on for us before we have questions for Director Wilson.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve Heffer. The just a highlight that has been on the radar and currently underway is the rehabilitation and what they're working on is on the sand filters at the Blythe Sewer Treatment Plant. It is now underway with the contractor that we hired to start that, so that's well underway now. And they're also going to assist Veolia whenever the sand and media come into that's part of the filtration system. When it arrives, they're going to give them a hand also with that. And also BM Ross are continuing with the design for the new plant that hopefully gets out to tender late spring, early summer for construction, hopefully next year for that part of it. And through these annual reports, we are scheduling Veolia to attend in probably the second meeting in April so they can do a follow-up to their annual reports and do a presentation that they do annually in front of council.
So I think it's only fair for council that we bring our questions to them when they're here to answer to it. But if there's any questions sort of with the water or anything, we could direct them to Director Wilson, or we'll just hold them off till that two meetings from now. So any other questions for Director Wilson? Okay, may I have a mover? Councillor Whitfield, seconder. Councillor Wright. All in favor? Carried. 6.4.2, Public Waste 2025-10, non-eligible unit recycling collection services agreement with Waste Management of the Canada Corporation. At this time, are there any questions for Director Wilson, or again, he may want to just give us a little update on it?
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. At a previous council meeting, it was brought to council's attention that after April 1st, the businesses, or what we refer to as the ICIs, which is industrial, commercial, and institutional, will no longer be picked up the recycling. So they are regarded as the non-eligibles. And we were asked to bring back costing so that they could be continue to be picked up for the 9 months left in 2025. And Waste Management, after speaking with them and providing them with the properties, which turned out to be 205 within North Huron, they provided us with costing that so that they would be continued to be picked up, the ICIs.
Okay, thank you. I saw a hand go up first here for Councillor Palmer. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve, to Director Wilson. Do you feel that we should try and go for some cost recovery in the future? Or just leave it and we'll sort of eat it like we do in so many other areas? And the other question is it such a fluid program right now that we don't know what next year brings?
To you, Reeve, I wouldn't say the program's fluid. It's pretty well been decided that ICIs, non-eligibles, will not be picked up unless municipality makes the decision to provide that service, as the council has decided for the remaining 9 months of this year. And that would be something that council would have to decide on, because for next year's waste, there's going to be an RFP or a tender quote for solid waste collection. And at that time, if council decides they want to continue the service, then it should be, it'll be decided at that time. And if it's something that you wanted to have user pay, then that would be also a council decision to move forward with the non-eligibles or to co-collect.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yes, thanks for your Reeve. Will we see any kind of operational changes for 2025, or will everything look the same? All the recycling collected on the same day, the same boxes? So for 2025, will we see any changes? And if not, will that start in 2026?
So you, Reeve, with preliminary discussions with Waste Management, and obviously 2026, it'll be through the RFP. They may not be successful, but if they are successful, what they are moving to is what is called automated collection, where it's all with carts. Your recycling's in a cart, your waste is in a cart, and so be it. If North Huron went to organics, it would be the same thing. So as far as setting up scheduled days, that would be determined too with whoever the successful bidder is in 2026. But most of these companies now are going to what's called automated collection.
Okay. Clerk
But-
Lamb would like to.
But in 2025, is there going to be any noticeable changes to the?
So yeah, to add to Director Wilson's point, you shouldn't notice. So for these 9 months, they're able to continue to co-collect. And by co-collect, I mean collection of both your eligible and non-eligible at the same through the same trucks, which after December, these companies like Waste Management won't be able to continue to do anymore. So it all have to be separate trucks, separate bins, that kind of thing. So that takes effect December 31st of 2025. So.
Good. Any other questions for Director Wilson? Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. With the changing of the bins, then should we be saving up for new bins in 2026, or are those bins going to be provided by the collecting agency, or is that going to be an individual or municipal expense? Switching over from what we have now, which is bags and a blue box, to 3 separate bins.
Through you, Reeve, it'll depend on who the successful bidder is when you go out to the tender, which should be going out sometime this summer or early fall, to award whoever's going to be doing the collection in 2026. But if it is Waste Management, then they will be providing what they refer to as carts.
And just to add to Director Wilson, there are often those charges are passed on through the property tax bill. So we wouldn't need to necessarily set aside funds dedicated to those cards. They go on the initial tax bill for the property, and then they stay with the property, is usually how that works.
Any other questions? Good questions here, because I'm sure we're going to be getting asked those types of questions. So, okay, if there's no other questions, mover, please. Councillor Palmer, seconder. Deputy Reeve, all in favor? Carried. Nothing from the fire department or the office of the CAO. At this time, we're going to 6.6.1. CS 2025-03 North Huron Museum Deaccessioning Project, Report Number 21, Non-accessioned items list A, B, and C, and project status update. At this time, are there any questions for our community engagement coordinator? No? I can see it coming to an end. That's looking very, very positive. Saw the truck out in front there last week. I asked our clerk if I want me to go over, carry anything down to it, but he wouldn't allow me to. So that's fine. It's coming very well, and it's good seeing that. Thank you very much. So at this time, I need a mover. Councillor McBurney. Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. This time we're going to go to the Reeves report. It's sort of a quiet time, but on Friday I was able to slip down to the arena there, and there's a packed house. Came down a couple different times, but there's 165 Timbits there, but they're hockey players. They were having a ball, but there's from 165, there's 2 from in Wingham, I believe, and the other 13 teams were from out of town. So that's why the parking lot was full, and they each, I think, either 3 or 4 games each, and they have 22 in one end, 22 in the other, the ref in each end, and a helper from each team. But they're having a great time, lots of wipeouts, and they're just having a good time, and no talking back to the refs during that time. It was just all kinds of fun, and it's just good to see that. And then on the Saturday, I'd come down and just grandson wanted to go swimming, and went in there, and there's over 50 people swimming in there, and they're just, again, a great time, and it keeps the lifeguards busy. I'm sure that keeps them active, and it was just a good time seeing the place being made good use of. So at this time, are there any council member, board, and committee reports from anybody? Seeing none, any comments by members? Okay, at this time, we go to 8.4.1, Councillor Wright, notice of motion.
Thank you, Reeve.
Yeah, he doesn't speak to it. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Next meeting. So we just accept that.
Yeah, so 8.4.1 and 8.4.2 are being presented. So basically notice is being provided at this meeting, and it'll appear under other business at the April 7th meeting for discussion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. We don't do enough of these to get onto that. Right, okay. At this time, we go to bylaws. Bylaw number 2025, non-eligible unit recycling collection service agreement with Waste Management. May I have a mover? Councillor McBurner, Deputy Reeve. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 21, 2025, adoption of 2025 North Huron budget. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Itterson, Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 2022-2025, appointment of Chief Administrative Officer. May I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, seconder. Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 23-2025, appointment of Director of Legislative clerk. May I have a mover? Counselor McBurney, Counselor Wright, all in favor? Carried. Next regular council meeting will be held on April 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. right here. Next Wingham BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, March 20th at the Hot Stove Lounge, 6:30. And our next Blythe BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, March 27th at 8 a.m. in the first floor of the meeting room at the Blythe and District Community Center. Are there any other announcements? Seeing none. Other business. Councillor Van Hitterson, notice of motion. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Van Hitterson.
Yes, thank you very much, Reeve. I'm bringing this notice of motion forward because I would like staff to investigate and report back on the cost billing for the OPP billing. The OPP billing is based on cost per property. It is clearly defined in the OPP municipal policing billing. It changes when the Community Safety and Policing Act came into place. Since 2023, we are using total assessment as our base for police billing, while the OPP is using property counts. I would like to know why this was changed, when this was changed, and what the reasoning is why we are using different billing for policing than the police itself does. So everybody in Huron County is being paid per property, and it's a fast amount for every property. I would also like to see what other municipalities are doing for this. They're doing total assessment or property count. In the municipal, OPP municipal policing billing website, you can find all the information how much everybody is supposed to pay, and why the municipality is manipulating these numbers to put it to total assessment is for me a big question, and I would like some answers to that.
Okay. Okay, now this is going to go to discussion at this time then. Are there any questions that you'd like to have answered at all? Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Thanks, Reeve. It's more of just a comment. It's a case of being fair, because land doesn't require policing, people do. And, it was just so easy to use assessment. That's the easy way out. It's better. Property is a better way, just per house, plain and simple. It's easy. It's an expense that East Wallinash Ward gets, the farmers there get, and it just adds to the exorbitant load that they have to pay in the tax form. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Van Hitterson, please.
It's not just farmland that's being affected, it's also commercial and industrial properties, some kind of house, what are they called, like nursing homes and that. They're different. And in our police reporting we receive once in a while, there's also a big proof that most police questions and police service is needed in heavily populated areas, and it's always related to people and not to vacant properties, farmland, parks. So.
Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, thanks for your Reeve. So, the reason I brought up the numbers before, right, is that farmland per 100,000 is only taxed 25% of what residential is, right? And transportation services in our budget is 30% of our budget, right? So that's just roads, grading, graveling, plowing, all those things, right? So to me, it seems like the impact assessment already accounts for the fact that vacant farmland doesn't use all those other services. And then with regards to police activity, police activity, and we saw the reports, is not the subdivisions, right? It's your main street, it's your renters, it's your subsidized housing, low income housing. That's what generates all the calls. So it's, saying it happens in Wingham or happens in Blythe, I think, is an oversimplification. It's not your regular, detached homeowner that's generating the OPP. calls. So, you know, just on those things, you know, to me, I mean, you know, no tax system is fair. I mean, everybody's gonna find a particular issue with any tax system. But the basis of the tax system, as I understand it, is it's a wealth-based tax. The more your property is worth, the more tax you pay, right? And I don't even know if we have the right to go against MPAC and kind of disturb it, but I mean, to me, I look at the numbers, I see the percent of budgets, and I don't think it's unfairly taxed, but that's just my opinion.
Deputy Reeve, you had your hand up, please.
Yeah, through you, Reeve. The notion of the rate that the OPP is billing the municipality is their base rate. If there's an incident, or if they have to bring in other resources, that is billed to the municipality directly. If you know, it's taking more man hours than what is normally in their normal day patrol, that comes in. If there's a special incident where they have to bring in other resources for search and rescue or whatever, is tacked on top of that. If we went just with the straight OPP billing, then how is the municipality going to recover or plan for those kinds of expenses? They would just be at the end of the year, we would just have to put it on the tax base every year. That's the difference between the OPP rate and the municipal rate. Municipal rate will take into consideration all of the expenses for the OPP and their emergency services footprint that they use. So it's hard to just say, yeah, you know, it should just be nickels and dimes, or not nickels and dimes, but it should just be a stamp and a stamp and a stamp. But circumstances happen. There could be more happen in residential. There could be a long investigation into something that happened in the rural. Those expenses get tacked on top. So that's the difference between the two, as far as my knowledge base goes. So I don't know how relying just strictly on one flat or one rate, because that amount changes monthly, how we would ever budget for that. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Van Henderson,
So
please.
That's how the police billing is done. It is built on, say, like $600 for North Huron, because there are so many incidents in North Huron, and we got incidents reports where they are. It's for Ashfield, it's probably different. They might have like $300 because their incidents are less, and and if there's less incidents there, we don't get money back from the OPP, is my understanding. Maybe we can, I don't know, maybe we can get an incident report with it to see where our services are, or where the incidents are and where the most costly.
Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, but see, that's where I have an issue with that thought process, right? So social housing is a county provided service, right? Of course, they're going to locate those services in a settlement area, right? That's just where they're going to locate it. You're not going to put it in the, you know, outskirts of Westfield. And those, you know, types of social services do generate a disproportionate amount of OPP calls, right? We've seen the heat maps. We know that happens. So suggesting then that means the normal homeowner in Blythe or Wingham should pay more of the OPP costs because those social services housing is located in Blythe and in Wingham. You know, just to me doesn't make sense, right? Like someone who lives in Westfield should pay just as much burden of supporting the OPP costs of social housing as everybody else, regardless of where they're located.
Thank you. Councillor Van Henderson, please.
Homeowners on Westfield Road, that's what you're mentioning, or exactly paying the same amount for the police, in my suggestion, as somebody in Wingham. And I find it very discriminatory to say that social housing in Wingham probably attracts more policing than maybe we have issues in Iswanos as well.
It's not discriminatory. We saw the OPP reports. Thank you, Reeve.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Palmer, and then we're going to take this to a vote, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Yeah, the heat map shows where all the incidences are. But we have to be careful, like a 100-acre farm that's empty, no buildings. can be over $1 million. So that's $3,700 in taxes, just like that. And then add policing and county and all that other business. But you see, the police don't go there. It's not the land that attracts the problems, it's people do. In every instance, it's people. And so that's why it's just fair to go per house. And everybody pays the same. It only makes sense. Like a farmer he lives in farm A and he has 3 empty farms to add to his block. Like he's paying for all of them, and it's not right because there's just no need in these other locations. It's where he lives. It can be the hot market. That's where the police can go, are possibly needed. So like that just alone makes it fair. And yeah.
Okay, at this time, I'll read the motion. Do you want to read it? Do you have the motion there?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Yeah.
Yep, so Councillor Van Henderson's notice of motion provided at the last meeting is included in the council agenda package. And it's as follows, that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to investigate whether the OPP municipal billing framework can be billed based on property instead of by assessment and report back to council. So you'll have Councillor Van Henderson as your mover and you'd be looking for a seconder.
Okay, may I have a seconder, please? Councillor Palmer, all in favor? Defeated. Defeated. Okay, at this time, we'll go to a closed session and reporting out. We'll take a 5-minute break that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby proceeds at 6:43 to an in-camera session, closed to the public under section 239, 2F and K of the Municipal Act to discuss the following: advice that is subject to a solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, solicitor advice, and secondly, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, cross-border servicing agreement negotiations, and further, that the Chief Administrator Office remains in items 1 and 2, the Director of Legislative Services / Clerk, item 1 and 2, and Human Resources Health and Safety Corner, item 1, and Larissa V.J. Putt, item 1, remain in attendance. Thank you. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, seconder, Councillor McBurney, all in favor? Carried.